Hi, I'm Professor Jeff Cunningham of Arizona State University and host of Iconic Voices. Our icon of the day is Michael Milken, named one of the 75 most influential people of the 21st century. Welcome, Michael.
It's just nice to be in the 21st century, and it's great to see you.
Fame smiled on you early. Rumor has it that at age 11, President Eisenhower drafted your help with the space program.
Not really. After Sputnik went up, it had a major effect on me, and it had a major effect on the United States. And I believe it was one of the defining moments of the 20th century. I was in 5th grade, and I wrote a letter to the president telling him I was ready to lead our space program. My qualifications, never missing a math or science problem, and studying space through comic books that I've been. But unfortunately, the president never responded.
Was it chutzpah or clairvoyance? Did this start you off on the technology trail?
I think we are all shaped by what occurred, and I don't think many people realize how important Sputnik, or Sputnik if you were in Russia, was. And for the United States, it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call from the sense that in the middle of the Cold War, if you could put things up that circled the Earth, you could drop nuclear bombs. And I had a challenge myself with my 5th grade teacher, who was trying to convince me that if a nuclear bomb hit Hesby Street Elementary School, I'd be safe under my desk, and I wouldn't be safe if I wasn't under my desk. So eventually, we reached an understanding that I wouldn't disrupt the class, and she wouldn't try to convince me that if a nuclear bomb hit our elementary school, I'd be safe under my desk. But I think what it did is it changed America. It was cool to be a physicist, a mathematician. NASA was formed, DARPA was formed. The message in DARPA is that we would never be behind again in science. From the Soviet Union standpoint, this might have been their finest hour. To me, this was the end of the Soviet Union and the end of communism, because it woke up the United States. And it woke us up in science and math. And today, when you look around many of the challenges the world faces, you always ask yourself, what is that Sputnik moment? What is the wake-up call? Where's the straw quote that broke the camel's back?
When you speak of inflection points in your life, Sputnik was the first, but you actually have several others that had a profound effect on your outlook.
That is true. The next one that really affected me was the Watts riots, August 11th, 1965 in Los Angeles. I was home from Berkeley. I thought I knew everything. I was 19 years old. I had gone to Berkeley to see the world from a college campus. University of California, Berkeley was the #1 rated undergrad and graduate school at that time when I chose to go there, and had more Nobel Prize winners than any other university, particularly in the sciences that I was interested in. And I came home, and it was the middle of the Civil Rights Movement. It was the middle of the Vietnam War. And Los Angeles was on fire the night of August 11th, 1965. And I eventually met a young African-American man who used to work in a building that was burned down. My father had a number of clients in the South Central area, and I had not felt any discrimination growing up or being in those areas. And now the city was on fire. I didn't have to go to Vietnam to see armed personnel carriers in the street, and to me, it really changed my thinking. And this young man told me he wasn't part of the American dream, that he was never going to have access to capital. His father never had access to capital. And it really changed my thinking in the middle of the civil rights period in America, that one of the civil rights was to the American dream, a right to access to capital and a chance to succeed based on your own abilities, not who your parents were, not what school you went to, not where you grew up, not your religion, and not your race. And obviously, this young man taught me the American dream was not alive and well in his viewpoint. And therefore, I went back to Berkeley and changed my major from math and science to business. and was going to try to study on why we weren't making capital available to people based on their ability. And one of the reasons I will never forget the Watts riot is it changed my life and career. But August 11th, I decided to get married on August 11th, 1968. So I would never forget those two important dates of my life, the day I got married and the day of the Watts riots.
Do you recall what your yearbook said about you and your wife, Lori?
I sure do. First, my wife, Lori, I met her in 7th grade. We were in the same class for 6 years. And she was voted most likely to succeed, so I just wanted to stay as close to her as I could. And I was the friendliest. And from a very young age, I always learn more if I see the world through someone else's eyes. And so you learn a lot when you're listening, and you have enormous appreciation of an individual, particularly if you want to get them to support some cause that you're focused on, if you look at the world not through your eyes, but through their eyes.